Crazy question. What's it like
What?
to just be so perfect?
Dashing through the snow.
Come on, Penny, you got this, girl.
Horse open sleigh. O'er the
Love thyself. Diet pills?
Strong medicine.
fields on bobtails.
Well, there's always
Breaking spirits.
the new year.
What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Oh,
I can't get over how different you look.
You know how I am. All or nothing.
in a one
I love glazed donuts!
First question I have for you, for a film like this, I'm curious, when you read the script, what made you both decide, hey, we should do this film?
Well, I think we both really liked the take on disordered eating, body dysmorphia, and how much it took over the main character's life in the way where it just distorted reality. I think anyone can relate to that, whatever, whoever you are.
Sometimes our culture is so obsessed with weight and getting thinner, getting bulked up, whatever. And it was refreshing to see something where body horror was used in a way where sort of the horror is yourself.
Hmm.
And I thought that was a really interesting way to look at disordered eating. So I think Michelle and I were just very interested in playing with that.
I found it interesting that this took place during the holidays. I thought that was perfect for the script and how the holidays, people have issues with eating, not eating, trying to keep on a diet, and depression at the same time because it's the holidays, and that contributes to stuff like that. Would you agree?
Exactly.
Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
spot on. And that's why it took place during the holidays because, you go to holiday parties or like everywhere, even at the store, there's like chocolate and candy and like all the snacks and treats. But, for people struggling and even for people not struggling, it can be really overwhelming. And, everyone's meant to be happy during the holidays. It's meant to be a great time. But that is definitely not always the case. So we also, and the director as well, wanted to play with that.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about the holidays and how much it's centered around food, especially
Yeah.
in America, like Thanksgiving is a binge eating holiday. It's a holiday just for binge eating. And then you got all the Christmas parties and you got all this stuff. So it's like, but you're constantly supposed to be striving for this more perfect version of yourself or this better version of yourself. Like you're not okay as you are. So then that coupled with the New Year's resolutions, like it could just, it's a recipe for disappointment.
I was thinking to myself while watching this film and preparing for this interview that the roles had to be somewhat emotionally draining for both of you at some point. Was it a great thing to have each other to lean on to and work with to get through these emotional scenes?
Yes,
Definitely.
absolutely. Because we do play two different sides of the same character.
Hmm.
We were able to, talk a lot about the character and support each other. And it's also just so much fun and so much better to have her on set and vice versa. Like
Yeah, we
with,
tried to be on set for each other's scenes like the whole time. So even if when we weren't working, we tried to each be on set. Firstly, to watch it for like continuity with the character. We prepared together. We prepared with a movement coach, and we really wanted it to feel like one person.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean, thank God we had each other to, you know, cry to. The material was very heavy, you
I
know.
read I read a review of the film preparing for this again, and there was a line that stuck out to me. It said, "The way weight loss is depicted is quite visceral, and will both thrill and disgust at the same time." Would you agree with a comment like that?
I would definitely agree
Yeah,
with a comment like that.
definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly what the director wanted to explore. within that.
I think it's kind of interesting that although Penny doesn't see herself in a positive light, there are many who see her in a positive light, but she just doesn't see it.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Josh, her neighbor, for instance, kind of likes her, but she doesn't see that because she's so concerned about her own. You know what I mean? Would you agree
Yeah,
with that? That's
absolutely.
a big part.
Yeah, that's a big
Absolutely.
part of it, that even how you feel about yourself can blind you to how much other people are trying to give you support and love. And it's just like if you don't allow yourself if you don't have any compassion for yourself,
Right.
can just isolate you, even when
Yeah.
everybody is trying to reach out. I mean, even, Penny's mom character, that whole relationship makes me so sad because all the mom is trying to do is tell her, don't do this to yourself. And she just has this self-hatred that I think a lot of people, if you're a consumer in culture, it's hard not to sometimes. You're
Yeah.
always
And
compared.
I think a lot of people really go internal and criticize themselves and think about all the things that they're not or that they're not doing, that it's hard to see what's right in front of you, and accept that as what it is. So, you're right. This is exactly about that.
When it comes to the subject matter of this film, and I think about my nieces when I was watching this film and what they have to deal with on social media.
I
How has
Hmm.
know.
social media impacted, how girls and boys too feel about
Yeah.
themselves?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we luckily didn't have social media until like late high school, early college.
Hmm.
I can't even imagine what it's like for teenagers, like girls, boys, everyone. And I feel like, we're constantly being bombarded with images. We were also, right, in a different way in magazines, billboards, and all that was there during the time we were growing up. But I do feel like there's so much bombardment and it's all right in front of you, and there's so much comparison that it's just totally unhealthy for
Yeah.
people.
As an adult, it's difficult. I have to be like, okay, I'm not gonna do that with Instagram right now and compare and despair and all of this stuff. But I can't even imagine. I'm not sure how old your nieces are, but but if it's not, there's no way. I don't know how anybody feels okay about themselves and can grow up with that kind of expectation.
I think sometimes even when I'm like thinking about myself, I mean, it doesn't really bother me, but every once in a while I catch myself going, man, I could, drop about 10 pounds and, maybe I'll
Sure.
feel better about, you know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
Oh,
really, really weird.
everyone
No,
does that.
totally. And
Everyone does that.
the tricky thing about it is weight. We put so much emphasis on weight to determine our value in the world. And, it can be easy to think, okay, if I lose 10 pounds, I'll be happier.
Hmm.
I'll be, but it's like that's just you lose weight, you gain weight, everything's a fluctuation. And in our culture, it's always about how much weight you can lose
Hmm.
is the more successful or valuable you are as a person.
And you're still the same person with the same anxiety and the same, feelings and the same thoughts. So it feels like it's going to be a huge relief. And as you can see in this movie, it's not the big relief quite she was hoping for.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure you guys know, there's going to be comparisons, and there was a movie that came out recently called The Substance, and
Right.
Mhm.
I'm sure there's going to be comparisons to that film. What are your thoughts on people comparing your project to that project? Do you think it's a hindrance? Do you think it's kind of a positive? If they see that, they say, "Oh, maybe I should check this out as well."
Yeah, I think it's a positive because it's another in that film they explore youth and as a commodity and how that changes over time. But
And
our
fame
film
and relevance too, which is
and
in
relevance,
is
right?
it's
But in
different.
our in our film, I do feel like it's quite different in the way that we're just a normal person, like an everyday person that's struggling and all consumed with their weight. So I do feel like it's cool to see body horror getting so much attention and people playing with it in all these different interesting ways. But I do think it is very different.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
bec
It's a great reference to be like, okay, it's body horror that's tackling a similar subject, but it's totally different.
Body horror is kind of becoming its own subgenre of horror right now, if you think
It
Yeah,
about it.
is. It
it
really
is.
is. Like when we filmed the movie, it was before we even knew about the substance, like before this, way before the substance came out. And now seeing it, I see more and more body horror, which is really interesting right now.
Yeah.
What do you think I know this is kind of a big question, but what do you think can be done to help alleviate people's feelings about themselves, the social media, and is it just
Mm.
them talking to someone, being able to speak and not be ashamed and talk about it? What do you think can be done, if that makes sense?
Absolutely. I think when you're struggling with something like that, it can feel like you're the only one struggling.
Hmm.
And, I know that's cliche, but it really can feel like that. It's easy to forget that it's actually happening to so many people. And yes, absolutely talking to someone, limiting comparing, limiting despairing, being compassionate with yourself, I think is a huge element.
Yeah, and I think it definitely surrounding yourself with some sort of support system, talking about it, because so many people, every time we've had screenings of this movie, have come up to us and told us about how it really captures in an accurate way how they feel and and it's like the minute you bring it up, people want to talk about it. I feel like if you talk about your pain, it's healing. It's isolating if you keep it to yourself. And of course, there's like support groups and stuff online. So, but definitely find help because it's so much harder to do it alone.
Do you
And you
think
don't
there's a stigma attached to asking for help?
Yeah,
Mm,
definitely. Especially with men, I would
Yeah,
imagine.
I was just about
yeah.
to say that. Yeah, yeah.
Um, and
Yeah,
I
I think
know men are very affected by this issue, and it's almost like this idea of masculinity that they're like trapped inside in a totally different way. And also men are stigmatized for seemingly like having close friendships. Like it's societally, it seems okay for women to do it and to talk and be emotional. I mean, express your emotions. But like then now we have all these men who like feel like they can't talk to anyone. And I feel like that's something that I would love to have the answer to how we could, you know, involve men in the conversation in a way that's not shameful. And but I think I think they then it's about talking about it and that's the scariest part, I think.
I'm
Probably I'm for men. I'm not a man, so I don't know. But
yeah. I
this I mean this movie was directed by a man
Hmm.
who uh who has a lot of these feelings, who felt very powerfully about the content. So I think it affects everyone and I wish there was a better or an instant solution. I think a lot of companies try to like sell products that make people want to feel like, oh, this will make me better, this will improve me in some way, but the products won't do that, and neither will the weight.
I think, like myself growing up, we're taught, don't cry, don't
yeah.
Yeah,
show emotions, don't be like that. When you have close friends, just don't show emotions. And I
yeah,
think that's a huge part of for us when we grow up. We need to balance that out. I was lucky enough to grow up with women in my household too,
Good.
and
Yeah.
strong women. And my mom, who
Mhm.
I was terrified of, rest in peace, mom. She just didn't play that. So I think that's another thing. Men need to just stop worrying about what other people think and what other men think about them and just be who they are.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'm
wish,
so glad you grew up in an environment with
yes.
other supportive, strong, intelligent women because it's such a detriment. It's such a shame
Yeah.
because I feel like in general, the toxic masculinity is, holding it in and not being able to express themselves. And there is so much support out there and it's so much help, but I totally see how there's so much pressure to, especially with eating disorders, I can
Hmm.
imagine. People associate them with women, but that's not the case. It's just as prevalent. So, yeah, I so hope that's changing in the culture that I
Yeah.
really hope that men are able to, express themselves and get help and talk about things more.
Yeah, like male role models are so important. And I know, of a certain generation, a lot of, men or like people who become fathers, then they pass on what they learned. And the expectation of what it is to be a man and all this stuff. And there are amazing role models like online. That's the other good thing. There's an amazing male therapist whose name is not coming to me right now, but just feels like, oh, it's okay to say how you are, how you feel. You are enough just as you are. You don't need to be like, I don't, whatever it is, bulky or skinny or whatever your idea of masculine is.
And I think you kind of already answered this question a little bit throughout this interview, but what's the biggest message you want viewers to take away from this film after they see it?
Hmm. I think self-compassion. I
Hmm.
think really there would be if people could really look inward and like be a little kinder to themselves because
Yeah.
it's hard that it's hard anyway. Life has its ups and downs anyway, but I think being kinder to yourself is will just make everything a little bit easier.
Yeah, it's already hard. There's already so much going on. It's like, why become enemies with yourself if you don't have to be?
Another cool aspect of your careers I want to talk about briefly is your music, and I'm specifically want to talk to you about and the album Ghost Town, but we'll get to that in a second. Uh,
Oh, okay.
you guys
Yeah.
have correct me if I'm wrong, but you have a new EP coming out very soon. Is that
We
correct?
do, we do. We've released two singles from it, and then it's coming out in November, and it's a dark take on Christmas classics. Two of the singles are in the movie, and are used for the trailer. But as you were saying, the holidays is not always a positive time for people. People have very complex feelings around it, and so we wanted to kind of capture the mood of the holidays and the darkness of the holidays, and
Hmm.
how these songs that are classics are so in the our interpretation are very dark,
Hmm.
it. And I think in our society it's so important to just like be happy and seem okay. And this Christmas EP, um I really personally love it, and it's very internal and pensive and all of these things that Christmas music or holiday music is not.
Hmm.
So I'm excited for that, and it's perfect for post Halloween.
Hmm.
Has the music been another outlet for both of you? I mean, I'm sure you guys had something when during COVID. Did the music help you aspect of your careers help you guys while we were all dealing with COVID?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
music is something you can do and create by yourself. Or like it can be some sort of emotional outlet. And, obviously we were together all the time. And during COVID, and during the strikes, because obviously we're actors and musicians, it was tough. So having music in our lives was so important as another form of creative expression.
Yeah. If one is slow, then the other one, we can focus on that. And it's great to have the two, and they bleed into each other as well.
Mhm. I have to tell you, I love the album Ghost Town. It's been what I've been listening to for the last week or
Oh,
so,
great.
Wow,
coming
thank
to and
you
from
so
work.
much.
Oh,
Thank
Um,
awesome. Then
you.
you're gonna love the new EP. If you
Yeah, I
like
think
Ghost
then you're
Town,
gonna love the
it's
UP.
it's very much in that vibe.
There's
Yes.
several tracks on there that I really love, but there's one that stands out I want to ask you about, and it's Truth of It. I love
Wow.
that track. I love the breakdown you guys have in that track, the vocals
Yeah.
with your harmonies. Oh, I
So
have it on
good.
blast. I think I pissed my neighbor off the other day because I just had it cranking.
That's
Well, thank
okay.
you
Let her
so
deal with
much
it.
for listening to that.
Yeah, thank you
That's
so
I'm
much.
so glad you like it.
Truth of it, when we wrote it, it was very much like the verses were the truth, and then the choruses, I wanted to be this like fantasy world where it was
That's
the truth.
exactly what my next question was. You just broke it
Really?
down for
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, yeah. Wow. Well, I'm so glad you were paying attention to all that. Um,
Yeah.
the verses are like the harsh reality, and then the chorus is we wanted to take a reprieve from that and just like let it be this fantasy, and now I'm in this world where this isn't my reality and all this stuff. So, I appreciate that. What other song did you like on that album?
Ghost Town obviously was a great song. I
Yeah.
also liked Sleepwalking was
Oh
Yeah.
really,
wow,
really good.
that's my favorite song. But my
It felt
personal,
like the album was a complete story. You don't get albums like that much these days because most of music today is singles driven, as I'm sure you
Yeah,
already know.
oh
totally.
yeah,
But your album was like a complete story that you could listen to from beginning to end, which I really, truly appreciated.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you
Yeah,
liked it.
yeah. Thank you so much for listening. We love that album.
Yeah, I do love that album.
We put a lot of work into it, and just haunted by ideas. That's what people are. That's what it is. It's like that. That was what we were trying to go for, and you will love the new music then.
It
Go
was
on our
interesting.
Spotify, and then we just released like two singles, so
Okay.
you
I was
should you
listening to it with my headphones on in my house, and when the truth of it, the last line was the maybe I should get a lobotomy, and then boom, the song's over. I was like, that's it. Drop the headphones. I'm done.
oh,
It was
thank
so
you.
good.
Oh my God, thank
Thank
you so
you.
much. We really appreciate that.
Thank
Well,
you.
congratulations on this film. Congratulations on the music. Thank you so much for your time. I truly appreciate it. You have a fan in me now, so please, I
Oh,
wish you nothing
good.
but the
Oh,
best.
good.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you
You
so much.
too.
Thanks for
Yeah.
taking the time to interview us and for watching the movie and
Yeah.
listening to the music. We really appreciate that.